Hi, good people. My name is Laurie Larson Caesar, and I serve as the Bishop of the Oregon Synod. And this year, 2020, the season of Advent, we're exploring spiritual practices. What are some ways ancient to our Christian tradition that will help us ground ourselves in a God of grace who's present always, but sometimes we don't quite know how to access that? I can't think of a year so full of anxiety and trauma, grief and loss. And so now more than ever, we need to try and hopefully find a practice or two that will feed our souls and spirits. Today, I'd like to talk about a practice that comes out of the Franciscan spiritual tradition, but really it's been a slender silver thread throughout our entire heritage, and that is praying by being present to nature. So I'll share a screen and just offer you one way. There are, of course, 10,000 ways to pray by being present to nature. If you have a way and you're quite satisfied with it, you can stop now. But if you'd like to try a different thing and see if it's a fit for you, please consider this. It's important to remember that God, every day of that original creation story, looks at what has been created and says, "Behold, it is good." So, not just trees and birds and the squirrels and raccoons that are so present in my neighborhood, but your body and your neighbor's body and the entire universe created by a God of love. The slender silver thread that has held this tradition so well is rich and abundant and diverse in Hebrew scripture. In the Christian tradition, St. Francis and St. Clare reminded us of it most profoundly. There are so many stories of the wolf of Gubbio and how he too could become a gift for the tiny village of Gubbio, or the prayer to brother sun, sister moon, but also Hildegard of Bingen, how much she treasured the surrounding earth, looked for healing ointments and plants, and even called the power of Christ to liberate and propel us forward the greening power, viriditas. So that life force, the sap rising up within us, which is spirit, is also similar to that greening power in nature for Hildegard. There's so many others. So we're going to talk about taking a walk in nature. It can be as short or as long as you'd like it to be, but if a walk is not an option for you, even watching through a window at a bird feeder or finding a leaf on your front porch, any of those things can do. And the biggest trick is to avoid distractions. So not just silence your cell phone, but what happens if you turn it off? How else can you minimize distractions for yourself and allow yourself to breathe? Part of this walking meditation is an opportunity to celebrate your senses. So we'll be going through most of the five senses. And I urge you, as you walk, to do it differently this time. Don't go into a rote process, a walk as you've done it before, but be fully present to your body and to the nature around us. So as you go outside, begin to notice. Maybe you walk more slowly. I have a friend who walks 7 miles an hour. It's very hard to notice if you're walking to accomplish something. This walk is a walk of taking your time. And as you breathe and as you inhabit your body fully, pay attention first with your eyes. What colors do you see? What changed perhaps from the day before or a couple days before? What little things are worth observing that most of the time we scurry past? And second, move into your sense of smell. Is it that smell of wet leaves that in the Pacific Northwest fall so often brings? Is it a smell of a fire in someone's fireplace? Pay attention. So seeing, smelling, let's go to touch. What happens if you touch the leaves? Some have a kind of grip, kind of tread, attraction. Some are so smooth. How about a pebble? My dog finds sticks everywhere he goes. If anything is pulling you, inviting you to touch it, touch. And then let's go back up to hearing. Listen. St. Benedict says, listen with the ears of your heart. What do you hear? You might hear crows, you might hear cars, you might hear children. Attend to those sounds. What do they remind you of? What do they bring up in your heart? We have a hummingbird feeder, and so we often hear the of the hummingbird. Let them all float in your mind. And it's okay if your attention strays or if you start worrying about hurrying again, just gently draw yourself back. Return your focus. And finally, step 3, ask yourself which object is pulling you toward it. If it's something visual, try to record it in your brain so that you can hold it and savor it as we move into the next step. If it's a sound, same thing. If it's an actual object, see if you can bring it into your home. So when you return home, or if you've stayed home, find a comfortable place. Keep your cell phone off. If you'd like, brew a pot of tea, a cup of coffee. And if you can rest in silence for even a minute, just offer a prayer of thanks that we have air we can breathe, that we can walk in safety, most of us in most places. Whatever it is that you're finding yourself grateful for. And even though we live in a complicated time, ask God to wrap you in love and peace. Gift yourself with gentle breath and sit with whatever it is that you've brought home, either a physical something in your brain. Sit with it. See if you can see it with precision. What do you notice? What is God inviting you to notice? And how is God inviting you to stretch your awareness? Attend to both the sound or the vision or the object, and also attend to yourself. What words or phrases come up for you? Is there a song? Is there a text? Is there a poem? And finally, if journaling is something you like to do, grab your journal or a scrap of paper and you can write. What might I attend to for the next day or week? How am I being invited to change? How am I being invited to focus? What is emerging in me? And no matter what happens in my prayer time, whether it involves singing or walking or sitting or writing, I try to always offer a prayer of thanks to God. It can be simply, thanks, God. Thank you all. I hope you find at least one moment this Advent to take a walk or observe nature from where you are so that we can see that God's handwriting is all over this universe. I'm glad to be walking the way of Christ with you. Thank you.